My name is Yvette Ali, and I have the privilege of serving as registrar at Victoria College. To our newly admitted students, congratulations. We know you've worked very hard to get here, so this event is not just a welcome for you, but also a celebration of what you've achieved. Victoria College has a long tradition of valuing and encouraging exceptional students such as you. And as a member of Vic, you will become part of the fabric and the rich traditions of this college. While at Vic, we encourage you to become a fully engaged member of our community, to build lifelong friendships, broaden your learning experiences, and of course, find ways to share your personal gifts with us. I'm going to walk you through what we have in store for today's program. You'll hear from several wonderful people today. Our president, Professor William Robbins, our principal, Angela Esterhammer, a second-year student, Emani King, as well as Kelly Castle, our Dean of Students. Their presentations will be followed by a question and answer session, and then we'll have some breakout groups. The breakout groups will include at least one staff member or one faculty member, as well as a Vic student. So it will be a great opportunity for you to have a more informal chat with us. So let's kick things off with the first part of our program. It is now my pleasure to turn things over to President Robbins, who will talk to you a little bit about Vic and U of T. Professor Robbins.
Well, thank you, Yvette, and thank you to everybody for joining us today. Congratulations on getting into U of T and to Vic. Really looking forward to the start of next academic year when we can welcome you to the community more fully. A process that begins today. So I have been asked to talk a little bit about the relationship between Victoria College and the University of Toronto. When you applied to the Faculty of Arts and Science, you had to choose one of colleges to rank, to decide where you might want to make your smaller home within the University of Toronto. And Victoria is one of those 7 colleges the Faculty of Arts and Science students belong to. But Victoria University is a separate university from the University of Toronto. So Victoria College students actually belong to 2 different universities, the University of Toronto and Victoria University. Victoria started in the 1830s in Cobourg, Ontario, and it merged with the University of Toronto through a federated agreement in the 1890s when we moved to Toronto, and the old Vic building was built at the center of campus. So we have this you get really the best of both worlds when you're at Vic. You're part of that larger University of Toronto enterprise with all of the kind of research powerhouse that's there, with the incredible range of academic offerings, the incredibly prestigious faculty that are attracted to the University of Toronto. And you also join the smaller community of Victoria College, which has a very, very long tradition, a very important tradition in Canadian university history for its broad-based and inclusive approach to education. From the very beginning, Victoria University was founded on the idea that universities should be available to people from all walks of life. And that ideal of an inclusive, broad-based education is one that we continue to adapt to 21st century needs. When you arrive at Vic, you'll be starting a process of education that's driven by your curiosity. It's driven also by your sense of conscience. We want it to be inspired by challenging conversations, and we want it to be sustained by meaningful personal interactions. It's a place where people get to know each other, where they encounter each other, where they listen to each other and respect each other. It's a really remarkable community to be part of. You're going to hear a lot more about it today from students and staff who are absolutely essential to making this happen. You are going to be part of this community. We're going to be relying on you to help that sense of inclusiveness, that sense of community, that sense of respect continue on to pass on to next generations of students as well. So once again, let me congratulate you and let me thank you for joining us today. And I hope that you're looking forward as much as I am to the introductions that we're about to hear from the other participants today. Thank you.
Thank you, President Robbins. I would now like to introduce our amazing principal, Principal Angela Estahammer. Principal Estahammer is a Vic and U of T grad herself, and she's responsible for the Vic academic programs, amongst other things. So Professor Estahammer, over to you.
Thank you very much. Well, hello and congratulations from me too on being offered admission to one of the world's leading universities, and especially to Victoria College. As you just heard, my main area of responsibility as principal is the academic side of Vic. So I'm going to outline some of the academic choices you can expect to see, especially in your first year. Well, when you apply to the University of Toronto, I'm sure you all noticed that it's a big place. And although the size may seem a bit overwhelming at first, it's a really good thing for your education. It means that at the University of Toronto, you can choose from a range of courses and programs that you won't find anywhere else. U of T programs are excellent across the board, often among the very, very best in the world. And the combinations of programs you can choose to suit your personal interests and career goals is almost unlimited. You should also remember that whether you're a member of Victoria College or any other college at U of T, all programs of study in the Faculty of Arts and Science are available to you. Your choice of college doesn't affect your choice of the specialist major or minor programs that you can start. Normally, you'll begin those programs in your second year. However, your chosen college helps to enrich your university experience by providing a smaller, relatable community. And I encourage you to consider taking some courses at your college in your first year at least. Victoria College puts special emphasis on first-year offerings because we really believe in the importance of a strong first-year foundation. We also believe in the value of small classes. All of our first-year courses are taught in classes of at most 25 students. In fact, we consider small conversation-based classes so important for making a good start at university that we guarantee every first-year Vic student access to at least one small class. And we expect every first-year Vic student to enroll in a small class where the professor knows you by name, you quickly get to feel comfortable with your peers, and you learn how to learn at university. A prime example is the award-winning Vic One First-Year Program. Vic One is a foundational program in which you take at least 2 courses throughout your first year with a small cohort of fellow students. You'll study with outstanding professors as well as community leaders and professionals. There are 8 streams of Vic One to choose from, each of them covering a broad area of study with a lot of interdisciplinary connections. So whether you're interested in sciences, humanities, social sciences, creative arts, education, or commerce, there is a Vic One stream for you. Vic One requires a separate application, and many of you have applied, and maybe you've already received an offer of admission to Vic One. If so, congratulations again. But if this is the first time you've considered Vic One, don't worry. This year, the application deadline has been extended until April 28th, which is a week from today. And at the end of today's session, we'll make some more information available along with an email address where you can get answers to your questions. Another great alternative for starting your first year at Victoria College is to choose a Vic 100 seminar. Vic 100s are 1 semester courses that feature a small class of 25 students at most. They offer engaged discussion, personal attention, caring professors, and a peer mentor system where every class has an upper year student mentor to support you. The options range from courses on healthcare to philosophy to detective fiction to psychology to how to study everyday life. A list of course titles will be available at the end of today's session so you can see what's on offer. And lastly, Victoria College puts a distinctive focus on involving students in research. As professors, we know that one of the real joys of being at a university is the excitement of discovery and innovation. Vic places a special emphasis on involving undergraduate students in the creation of new knowledge. We're the only college to have a dedicated undergraduate research coordinator. That is a professor who will facilitate your connection to research opportunities, whether in the lab or the archives or field work in the social sciences. There are opportunities to work alongside a faculty supervisor or in one of Vic's research centers or in a research team in our unique Scholars in Residence summer program. So those are some of the highlights of the academic offerings at Victoria College. Our emphasis on small first-year classes in all fields of study and on research opportunities throughout your undergraduate career. Now, just a few words about this fall, because all of us are coming to the end of a very unusual school year. And we realize that this may be a time of stress and uncertainty for students preparing to start university this year. Victoria College, along with the University of Toronto, is optimistic that we will be returning to mostly in-person classes and activities this fall. There will be monthly updates throughout the summer as the public health situation unfolds and the vaccine rollout continues, but our current plan is to welcome students and faculty to campus in September, and believe me, we all look forward very much to returning back there. Thank you very much for listening, and now we'll turn back to Yvette.
Thank you very much, Professor Esterhammer. We will now hear from Manny King. Manny is a second-year student at Vic. She did the Vic One program that Principal Esterhammer mentioned. She's now pursuing a major in English, a minor in biology, and a minor in education and society. So Emani, over to you.
Thank you so much, Yvette. Hi, everyone. My name is Emani King. I use she, her pronouns. I'm currently a second-year student here at Vic at the University of Toronto. So for a little background on me, I live here in Toronto and I'm a commuter student. I was also in the Vic One program, as Yvette mentioned, in my first year as a student in the education stream. Being a commuter and a Vic One student were two things about me that opened a lot of different doors across Victoria College. I was introduced to so many people and opportunities, including choosing education and society, which is a Victoria College program. There are so many different events for each type of student, whether you are an international student traveling across the world, or you are a commuter student traveling across the Greater Toronto area. Walking into Vic, I was not only surprised, but I became excited to see what else was going to happen in university. Now, as I finish my second year, I'm a transition mentor who supports a group of first-year students. I'm one of the two Vic One education stream mentors, and I'm also the editor-in-chief mentee at Hey Teach magazine, a U of T education publication housed out of Victoria College. Needless to say, a lot has changed very, very quickly between my first and second year alone. I just named 3 things out of so many positions and opportunities that Victoria College holds. There are so many different things to get involved in here, and they're offered at different levels, so you can always be comfortable. If you're all about joining clubs and going to multiple events, we have a lot to introduce you to. If you're about chilling and you're up for interactions that are more informal and slow-paced, we also have a lot to introduce you to. Vic also holds many academic opportunities and important conferences on social issues within the world, so there's something here for everyone. Getting involved at Vic doesn't take too much. You just have to show up at a door, whether it's in the Gold Ring Student Center or a Zoom waiting room. I think that Victoria College has strength in ensuring that they're actively looking out for their students. All the staff members that speak to you today are all forms of support for you, and they're very approachable, I promise. I have spoken to all the speakers here today at different points in time, even at this very event when I was in grade 12, and I was nervous about whether or not I would get into Vic One. Many of our staff members are in constant contact with students to see how they can help. No matter who you are as a student and as a person, support is out there for you. So university is definitely a place that can switch on you with a single email, so it can be overwhelming at times. With this, I advise that you always seek support if you ever believe that you need it. Asking for help in university is honestly the best thing you can do, especially as a first-year student, as it's a brand new experience. I've had moments where I was unsure of whether or not I should remain in a course, how to support students in my roles, or how to ask for an extension. To this day, I ask for help from the people around me to support myself in my experiences. Everyone learns and gets into the routine of a semester, so asking for help is only natural, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Victoria College is a place that almost doesn't sleep, as there are always events going on. When you get to Vic, especially during orientation week in early September, you will be greeted by a bunch of students. The upper year students are excited to welcome you to school and to introduce you to all of those events that I mentioned before. Student life is really big here at Victoria College, so not only are the staff and teaching faculty here to cheer you on, it will be us too. So here are some takeaways. Be true to yourself and when you start university so that you can thrive here. Ask for help if you need it, no matter the size of the issue. And if you want to get involved, be comfortable. University is something that grows with you as time goes on, so don't feel like you're stuck. I hope that you're excited about your university journey, and if you choose to come to U of T and you see me in any Vic space, please say hi. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll turn it over to Yvette.
Thanks so much, Emani. That is amazing advice. I just wanted to mention before we move on to our next speaker that I see that we've been getting lots of questions in the chat. Rest assured, we're not ignoring you. We will come to your questions during the Q&A session, so please keep them coming. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our enthusiastic and colorful Dean of Students, Kelly Castle. Kelly has been instrumental in creating a strong sense of community here at Vic and a culture of support. She's going to talk a little bit about campus life and student support more generally. Kelly?
Hi, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. Happy to see the pictures of our beloved students in front of me, and I'm going to explain a little bit about them and what it's like here. So much of what you'll hear today is about the things we have and the programs we offer. I want to lean a little into the question of what it's like to be here. As President Robbins said, home is your neighborhood. At U of T is sort of your neighborhood within Toronto, and Vic is sort of your neighborhood within U of T. I always talk at every one of these sessions about how many different clubs and societies there are for students to get involved in. And one year I decided I'd go and actually check it out and count them. And I found a little over 300. And then I realized that that was the A to C list, and that we had almost 2,000 clubs and societies for students to get involved in. Now, full disclosure, last year at this time, I was a little anxious. I wasn't sure how the students were going to pull it off. I didn't know how, if we went into either a hybrid or an online model, how they'd do it. I didn't know how they'd pull together a sense of community. I didn't know how we'd buoy up students without having all of the stuff that's sort of the vibrancy that you see in the pictures in front of you. But this year I go into this with zero worry, not just because, as Angela Esterhammer said, we anticipate being back in person, but also because even if we weren't, even if we had to do a little online, even if we have to do a little virtually, the students have come together in such fierce loyalty to one another and such a strong sense of community that I have zero worries. Last year I was fingers biting and, well, fingernails, not fingers, that would be weird. Last year I was biting my fingernails. This year I'm just ready to do it. I think the students have been fantastic. For example, we have a thing called the Dean's Advisory Committee, and it's supposed to meet 3 times a year. This time we met 32 times because the students were so concerned with making sure that the transition in, through, and out of university for the students who are here was strong and meaningful. So I have no worries at all. I think our academic programs are strong and fantastic. I think our co-curricular offerings are strong and fantastic. And it's students all the way down here. One thing I would say is that orientation week, of all the things, should you arrive here at Vic, is a very, very important part of the experience. Last year we did 2 weeks long orientation. This year we will do a hybrid model of orientation. So we'll have some in-person activities and some online activities for orientation. We have international orientation for students who are international students. We have commuter orientation for those of you who are traveling in and out of the campus, and we have a broad first-year orientation. We also have transition mentors from whom you'll hear during the summer and who will carry on as your mentor throughout the year. We have residents and commuter dons, and we have our fabulous ViewSec, which is our student government, about which you've heard, and we have lots and lots of clubs, many of which are, as everyone has already suggested, very much communication-based and interactive. So we have things like Plenty to talk about that are specifically about conversation. We have academic clubs and societies that are very interdisciplinary, so interesting in that respect. So lots of, physics students talking to English students about opera. Really great internecine conversations. We have volunteer opportunities, outdoor opportunities. The list really does go on and on. We have a program called Ideas for the World that runs out of our office that provides students with opportunities to serve as mentors to people in the community who might not otherwise be able to access university. Many of our students have felt those were very rewarding. They're Humanities for Humanity, Theater for Thought, Science in Action. We have lots of different opportunities. Aside from all of the academic supports and all of the co-curricular activities, there are also personal supports that are very important. And they're also very signature. They're very much about one-on-one, geared to your own personal needs kinds of supports. We have an on-site personal counselor who's a social worker. We have a BIPOC counselor who is a psychologist, which is a counselor specifically for students who identify as Black, Indigenous, or people of color. Emani, do you want to give a little cheer out for how that happened?
Yeah, so as Kelly mentioned earlier with the Dean's Advisory Committee, we also had a few meetings with the Victoria Black Student Network that also just received levy status, which I'm really excited about. But we had a lot of meetings this year that I got to be a part of as well. And we spoke about the importance of having a BIPOC counselor, especially with all of the different events that happened in the past year, even past 2 years, everything that's going down right now, we really needed support as students of color. So we were happy to get that in about October, I believe it was, Kelly? Yep. Yes, we had that October of this past academic year.
Yep. And that will continue this year. So we're really very happy about that. We have a career advisor as well, and in the registrar's office, a learning strategist and an accessibility officer. The other thing we now know is much better how to do everything hybridly. Hybridly? I'm going to go with hybridly. I think that's a word. I don't really like doing that in front of a bunch of English professors as I'm doing at the moment. However, there we go. I'm inventing words. Overall, a question that comes to me many, many times is what Vic students are like. Just what is the general tone and feel of the students. And I'll say when I got here, I thought I'd be here for maybe 4 or 5 years. I thought I would try out the deanship here and then try another university. I'm on my 11th year, and my very specific reason for being here still and for not even having the slightest inkling of going anywhere else is because of the way the students are. So the students have a sort of signature style. They have the memorable image for me is not of their ambition, although they have that, and it's not of their prize intellect or of the research that they do at an undergraduate level. It's not of any of those things that are very, very important to them and to us. It's that they're supportive. It's that students at Vic really do try as hard as they can and in many different ways to support each other so that they can find success in their own particular ways with people around them who are buoying them up. So that I would have to say is a signature way of Vic. It's a student life at Vic. It's what we try to cultivate, and it's an easy thing to cultivate because the students here do it themselves. So I've always felt very lucky to be here as a result of that. And you don't know it yet, but you're lucky too. And we're lucky to have you. So welcome and congratulations. And thank you. I look forward to meeting you in September.
Thanks very much, Kelly. So as Kelly mentioned, there are a number of supports at Vic. She mentioned some both at the Dean of Students office as well as the registrar's office, including things like the learning strategist, writing center, peer support, academic advisors, accessibility advisors for students with disabilities. All these supports are in place to help you in meeting your personal and academic goals. I just want to say on behalf of everyone in the Registrar and Academic Advising Office that we are here to answer any questions you may have now or during the course of your studies. So feel free to reach out to us anytime. Now, I know that I've received already a few questions about admission scholarships. So I thought now would be a good time to address that. All admission scholarship decisions from U of T and Vic have already been made, and recipients would have been notified by the U of T Join portal. So if you're not sure if you received one, please check the U of T Join portal. Some of you may not be aware that Vic also offers an annual in-course scholarship of $1,000 to every student with an A average at the end of their first, second, and third year of study. Students are automatically considered, so you don't need to apply. And what this means is that for A students, it is an additional $3,000 during the course of your degree on top of any admission scholarships you may have received. For students with financial need, we also offer bursaries, which are non-repayable grants, and we can assist you in navigating some of the provincial financial aid programs like OSAP. I want to also take this opportunity to mention that we have a wonderful online event coming up in June called Open Vic. This is going to be a great opportunity for you to learn more about the university, the things you need to do to prepare for course registration, to learn even more about the academic programs, the co-curricular offerings and student life that Kelly talked about, and to hear more about the supports available. And most importantly, you'll have a chance to meet more staff and more students. So at this point, I am now going to open things up to answer any questions that you might have. Valine has kindly agreed to put forward the questions posted in the chat to the panelists. So Valine, over to you.
Great, thanks, Yvette. So there are a lot of questions actually about Vic One. So maybe Angela or someone from her team can take this. Can you only apply to Vic One once you've accepted your offer for U of T?
Sure, I'd be happy to start on that, and I can actually go on to a couple of the other Vic One questions, I think, pretty quickly. No, in fact, you should not wait. If you're interested in applying to Vic One, please get more information right away and apply in the next week, because the application deadline is a week from today. You don't have to wait until you accept your offer for U of T. Vic One courses there was a question about, are they different from other U of T courses? They are regular Faculty of Arts and Science courses with the same, they count as credits in the same way as other courses do. The difference is that you have to be accepted into the Vic One program to take Vic One courses. And then the other difference is in the type of pedagogy, that these courses are smaller and you study in a small cohort of students. For all of your Vic One courses, you take with the same group of 25 or fewer students. And Vic One courses also have enriched offerings, such as, depending on the stream, experiential learning or some exposure to firsthand research built into them. And lastly, there was a question about whether they count, Vic One courses count towards your major. In general, first-year courses don't generally count towards your major, specialist, or minor programs. The first year for whatever you're taking, whether you're Vic One or not, is meant to be a kind of breadth year where you can explore, and most first-year courses don't count toward majors or other programs, but there are exceptions, and there are also exceptions for Vic One courses, because some of them can be counted towards specific upper year programs. So I'll stop there, hand back to Valine.
And just to follow up on that, does Vic One count for the first year as a first year seminar course?
Yes.
Okay. So the next question that we have here is, when does first year orientation occur? And I'll pass that to Kelly.
It starts in the last week of August this year, but there are other first year orientations as well. So we have international orientation and commuter orientation that will happen earlier in the summer. My recommendation is that you figure out sort of which categories you fall into and email vic.dean@utoronto.ca and we can give you all of the details. There's also a website that's Vic Orientation, that is popped up in the chat, that is vicorientation.com. And you can find out all of the information there.
The next question is for Emani. Is there a student council at Vic and how can we get involved?
There is a student council here at Vic. I think Kelly also got it too, but it is VUSAC, which is our awesome student council with so many different student leaders. There will be elections in the fall, I'm pretty sure. Alexa, I think you have a better hold on this one, so I can send it to you as well.
Sure. Hello, everyone. So yes, VUSAC will be electing counselors in the fall, and I believe 3 of those positions at least are reserved for first-year students. So that's one way to get involved with student government. But then each of the commissions on VUSAC, which is like sustainability, equity, arts and culture, Scarlet and Gold, which does events planning, mental wellness, so on. They also have commissions that you can join in as well. So if you're nervous about running, that's a great option too. And then at the larger U of T community, there's the University of Toronto Students' Union, which represents all U of T students, but then there will be 2 Vic directors that sit on that as well. So if you're interested in that, moving forward, elections for that usually happen in the spring, but yeah, there are many ways to get involved with student at U of T and at Vic. And then the rest of the VUSAC elections happen.
Sean, I think your microphone is on. If you wouldn't mind turning it off, please.
I'm so sorry.
No problem. Gesundheit.
This question is for Principal Esther Hammer. When might first-year students begin to look into research opportunities? Are there any available for first-year students?
Yes, we do try to present the opportunity to be involved with and to have exposure to firsthand research really from the time you come to Vic onward. It'll depend on what field of study you're in, and it's hard to generalize, but a couple of ways that first-year students could get involved in research opportunities, or at least inform yourselves about them right away, is, as I mentioned briefly before, some courses, particularly Vic One courses, do involve some elements of firsthand research. You would get some exposure, for instance, in the life sciences stream of Vic One to what lab research is like. Or in the social sciences stream, you would get exposure to doing firsthand research in archives. And another way is to get in touch with Professor Sean Ross, who is our undergraduate research coordinator, who works with a one-on-one or in groups with students in all years, including first year, to facilitate information and access to research opportunities that might involve being a research assistant for a professor, which is also possible through the work-study program. There are lots of individual opportunities that our undergraduate research coordinator can help put you in touch with.
Thank you. And then I think I'll ask just a couple of more questions and then we can do our breakout rooms. And this one would be for Yvette. Is there a small class requirement and how can I find out more about course selection and program selection?
Thanks, Pauline. So yes, at Vic, there is a small class requirement for your first year. And we do encourage students to consider the Vic One program, the Vic 100 courses, but also through the Faculty of Arts and Science, there are a number of other first year foundation courses that you can consider. We tend to find that it's a great opportunity for students to make friends, to connect with a faculty member. And generally speaking, students quite enjoy being in a small class setting and building those relationships. So it's required, but also encouraged. And I think that most students will find that it's a worthwhile experience. In terms of course selection, I mentioned earlier about Open Vic, and that is at that session, we'll go through all the details and all the resources that you need to help you in course selection. Valine is also meeting with students in groups once a week. So if you're interested in just sort of getting a bit of a primer before before Open Vic, then you can join in on Valine's session. There's information available on our website for newly admitted students. But again, if you come to Open Vic and participate, we will help in walking you through some of the details for course selection. And of course, if you do one of our group sessions and you still have more questions, we're happy to meet with you one-on-one. But I think the group sessions are a good way to start to wrap your mind around all the different terms and expectations at the university.
And just to add, starting in May, if you've accepted your offer, we will be emailing students information on our Corcus page. This is a module we use for our courses here at U of T. And so we've set up one for newly admitted students. And so it's easily digestible in terms of course selection, program selection, any important information we want you to know. And then the last question is for Kelly. Concerning housing, will we be housed on campus for more than 1 year? And if not, when do students usually leave campus? And where do they go?
A little like the Hotel California. They come, but they never leave. Yes, we do accept upper year students. We love having upper year students. We reserve a chunk of spaces for them. We have 802 beds. Usually we have about 150 upper year students in the mix, sometimes up to 200. And this year is going to be a little wonky, but we don't know how yet. So I can't really estimate the number, but for you in your future years, yes, you would be eligible for residence in upper years.
Great, thank you. So for this part of the session, we'll conclude the question and answers. If you have any question and answers or questions, we're happy to answer them. We're going to try to do a breakout session just to make the group a little bit smaller. If your questions aren't answered, feel free to reach out to any one of these email addresses or visit our new student page. And the emails are listed on the new student page as well.